on the platform. Was live.
Good morning. Welcome to coverage of the final day of Cows Week. But, well, there's not going to be any racing, I'm afraid. You probably know this already, but it is N over A, the code flags. N over A flying from the flag staff at the Royal Yacht Squadron. And that means, because of the strong winds, all racing is abandoned. The race officers left it as long as they could, hoping that it would die down a bit, but it really hasn't. And the conditions too strong out there on the Solent. So no racing today for any of the classes, and that brings Cows Week racing to an end, although there is still the overall prize giving to come. Simon Viger here at the Royal Yacht Squadron, and out on the B&G commentary rib, all on his own in the Solent, it's Matt Sheehan. Morning, Matt.
Morning. I feel like a bit of a Billy No Mates here at the moment.
I'm with you in spirit. So what are your B&G instruments saying at the moment on that wind?
My B&G instruments are saying, what on earth are you doing out here? No, it's not quite as bad as that, but it is certainly in line with the forecast. I'm currently showing 24.9 knots, so that's 25 in anybody's money, from the southwest. And yeah, it's been pretty steady at that, to be honest. There's a few gusts above that. But the sea stays quite flat, which is quite interesting. And because when the tide turns and it starts to head to the west, it's going to get pretty lively out here.
So very strong wind, too strong for the smaller boats in white group, and I guess a lot of the boats in black group that are looking forward to the Rolex Fastnet race on Sunday, Matt, they don't want to go out in this and risk damaging anything.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, a number of them will have planned to spend today and tomorrow getting ready for the race anyway. But you're absolutely right. There would be no point in risking their Fastnet campaign through busting something today, and that would be all too easy to do.
Well, we'll be hearing from the Musto briefing soon. We'll get the latest sailing forecast as well, but I can't see anybody out sailing at the moment. You are really on your own, aren't you?
Yeah, but you know, sometimes there's a time and a place for being on your own. Maybe this is it.
I want to be alone. There we are, looking over to Cowes Roads, the Darings and Expos bobbing around there, and actually it's so deceptive being here at the squadron and looking from the parade, because we are so sheltered here compared to once you get out in the middle like you are. Yeah,
it's very notable. I deliberately came out into sort of the middle of the channel, just really to show how hardcore we are on this commentary boat. But no, really, seriously, I came out here to see what the real breeze is like as it comes up the Western Solent, because, as you say, it's notoriously deceptive in the opposite way to the way it was yesterday, actually, because with the southerly breeze, it was actually windier in the Medina than it was once you'd started, which confused a few people. But today it's the other way around, and as you come out of the Medina, you think, oh, it doesn't look that bad. Then you go out a little bit further and you get clear of the headland at Egypt Point, and then bang, it hits you.
The overall prize giving was meant to be tonight, but that's been brought forward to 2 o'clock at the event centre at Cowes Yacht Haven. Everybody invited, including, of course, the overall winners. So that's going to be at 2 o'clock this afternoon at Cowes Yacht Haven Event Centre with Lawrence Mead, the regatta director. And, well, of course, it means that the Thursday racing was the last racing here at Cows Week. What are the particular winners that have really stuck out to you this year, Matt?
I guess who's really stuck out? There's been a lot of really interesting stories and great stories. The winners that have stuck out for me today, well, one of them, I have to say, is Jenny in the Sonars, because I think they've not only... I was chatting to one of their crew last night, Dave, who was very interesting indeed, and he was telling me about the background to it, and I think they've won their class. I think it's also the Sonar National Championships here, and I think they may well have won white group, although I'm not absolutely sure about that, but they were certainly in the running for it, that's for sure. So that's one story that stands out. Whooper's another one. I think they won their class. I'm saying this without actually having the results to hand, because even if I did have them, they just get blown away out here. But Whooper stood out, and in IRC2, the racing that was really interesting was between Leon Yes Incognito and Stiletto, I think, was in there as well. They had probably in the IRC classes they probably had the closest match all week because it was even Stevens for much of the time. So that's been really interesting to follow as well.
The code flags flying from the Royal Yacht Squadron Haven on all of the boats there, because it is Cowstown Regatta Day. And it's a real shame for the race officers of Cowstown Regatta on the final day of Cows Week that they're not going to get to give away their lovely trophies. But all of the flags, all of the code flags flying around Cows means it is Cowstown Regatta Day. The trophies for today's racing, which are not going to be awarded now, but they were from the Royal Southern Yacht Club and Cowstown Regatta. And sadly, just to recap, no racing today, N over A flying from the Flagstaff here, and that means that all racing is abandoned for the final day of the regatta. It doesn't mean, though, that some of the Rolex Fastnet competitors won't be having a little practice just to test stuff out. And who's heading out there? Kumbu is heading out towards you at the moment, Matt, or maybe they're just motoring over to the handball.
Yeah, they may well be. Oh yes, I see them now. Yeah, I think they don't see too many people getting ready to put the main up, and I think if they were going to sail, they'd probably put the main up in the shelter of the Medina. So maybe they are headed. There are a few people out here sailing, though. There is the lovely, huge, great sort of maxi cat. I still can't remember her name. This is really irritating. It's the Nigel Irons designed boat. Brian Thompson used to sail it. Hopefully that's giving a few people clues that they can jolt my stuck memory on that. Can't remember what it's called, but it's bashing along upwind and reef down, small jib, but actually looking quite comfortable. There's a ketch over on the mainland shore, just beating down on the mainland shore. There's a few people out here, and to be honest, it's not a bad day to be out sailing, to be honest. I mean, but it's the racing that is going to be the problem, of course, and when that tide turns, it definitely is going to be pretty lumpy and bumpy out here. But at the moment, I've got, 27 knots now, so it's still right at the top end, that's for sure.
Let's get the Musto briefing now from the regatta director, Lawrence Mead.
Good morning and welcome to Cows for Day 7 of Cows Week 2021. Sailing being the sport it is, we're all standing here today looking out the window and there's white caps and too much wind. Earlier in the week we were looking out desperately praying for it. Now we're desperately looking at it, worrying about how much there is. We have unfortunately taken the decision to abandon all the classes today. The forecast is sailable for large parts of the day, but there are bits where the wind will be 35 knots plus, and although we could theoretically have got some of the big boats out, it was an easy decision for all of the small, and then it became marginal for the bigger boats. So unfortunately that is the decision. It's the right decision, I think, in the circumstances. We're all unanimous about that here in the race office. So we hope you've had a good week. I know there's been some great racing. We've had good feedback on the courses, and we've enjoyed doing this Musto morning briefing. So we'll carry on through the process. Quick summary of the weather with Fiona.
Good morning. Yes, low pressure very much in control still. We have a fresh westerly breeze. It's been up in the 25 to 30 knot average speed range this morning, and we've had gusts already over 35 knots, and that's going to continue for most of the day with little change.
Thank you, Fiona. Fiona has probably the hardest job in Cows Week, trying to guess the weather, but today is pretty clear. So it's been a good regatta, and I wanted to introduce you to Jill Smith. Jill's coming in. Jill is the principal race officer for Saturday through Tuesday, and then again for today. So Jill, welcome to the Musto morning briefing. So what is it like to be the principal race officer of Cows Week?
Well, it was easier in the first 4 days, Lawrence, when we had racing that we could go and do. Today, decisions like this are never easy, but at the end of the day, we look at Fiona's forecast, which was very thorough and very reliable. And there was really only one sensible decision to make today, taking prudence and safety into account for everyone afloat.
Right. And this is your 5th time as principal race officer, going back to
2012 was 2012. The first time. So 2012, my first 2 years, and then this is my second time around, and would have been my third if it weren't for COVID.
And what about the pressures of being the principal race officer?
It's mainly the relentless decision making. You know, it starts the week before really with the constant monitoring of the weather forecast, and then throughout the day it's decision after decision.
Yeah, and a big team under you as well.
Quite a lot of people, yeah. A lot of volunteers, for which we're very grateful. They give a lot of their time, energy and technical knowledge to make this regatta happen. And as you say so often, Lawrence, we couldn't do it without them.
Absolutely. So Jill, thank you so much for all your hard work for Cows Week, and look forward to having you do another job in the regatta next year.
I shall be here for coffee drinking and other duties next year.
Thank you, Jill. Yeah, Jill and the volunteers, crucial for Cows Week. We could not run this event without volunteers. You just can't say, well, we'll get professionals in to do X, Y, Z. It is impossible to do. So huge thanks to all of the volunteers. It's about 450 on a manning list in total, about 140 every day. So just also on the Mustang morning briefing, Annie O'Sullivan joins us.
Morning.
Good morning.
How are you, Lauren?
Very well, thank you, very well. Annie is mentoring on a Sigma 33 for the Magenta project.
Yes, I am. I'm representing the Magenta Project, and for those of you that don't know what the Magenta Project is, we are creating opportunities for women to sail and race, in particular to get to the top of racing. And I'm delighted to see that we have actually got increasing numbers. I think we've got a record number in the Fastnet actually this time.
Excellent. And have you had a good week?
Yeah, we've had a great week. Oh my God, this is the most incredibly organised race event, I think, in the world, for amateurs, for sure. And the weather keeps us all on our toes, doesn't it?
You
so
and Jill and me as well, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's been an absolutely incredible week. I think the wind shifts that we've had this week have really challenged us. And so it's been really exciting.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So just wrapping up, we look forward to welcoming you back in 2022. This Musto morning briefing has turned out to be a great success. It's a good opportunity for us to come to you with some information about the day's racing. I know we've got viewers all over the world. It may not yet break the internet, but I know we've got viewers in Hong Kong. Mr. McWilliam will be watching. We've got viewers in High Beach, which you'd think was in the Caribbean, but actually is in Essex. So of all the people who've been texting me to say that they've enjoyed the Musto morning briefing, thanks for watching, and we will be back here July, whatever the date is, in 2022. Thank you.
Musto morning briefing, and just to add to the detail on what's happening today, the overall prize giving will be at 2 o'clock, so that time brought forward, as everybody is ashore anyway. The overall prize giving at 2 o'clock at the event centre at Cowes Yacht Haven. Now, Matt is out there on the B&G commentary rib, and he's chasing one of the few boats sailing because there's no racing today, but you have got a boat sailing off to the west there, Matt.
Indeed, it's that great big grey cat that I've been talking about the last couple of days. It's called Allegra. Of course it is. That's what she's called. And yes, I think they're out here for a bit of a practice by the looks of it. So I went out to go and have a look and watch them, and ended up going up towards Gurnard Buoy. And the tide has turned. It hasn't even fully turned yet. We're not up to a full knot. But the sea state is pretty horrible. Up at Gurnard, the tide is running at about a knot. It's got another knot to go. When that gets up to full strength, that is going to be deeply unpleasant around there at the moment. In the future, it's already pretty tricky with some big breaking waves, and good fun coming downwind them in the B&G commentary rib. Not so much fun going upwind.
The 30th of July is the date next year for the start of Cowes Week 2022. 30th of July is the Saturday when Cowes Week gets underway. One of the key sponsors here at Cowes Week is AQL. You'll see the AQL branding around and about, and a big comms sponsor here at Cowes and in other locations around the world. And we've been speaking with the boss, Adam Beaumont.
I think I first came to Cowes Week in 1990, and I wasn't a sailor at the time. I got the first chance to sail in about 2000. Did a few sun sails, ended up buying a boat, as these things happen. and we've been competing for the last 6 years, sponsoring I think for the last 5. I'm also very passionate about the sea and the environment, and I believe that sailors are the custodians and guardians of the sea. AQL is a 22-year-old telecoms operator. You've probably never heard of us because we do a lot of the enabling work behind the scenes to make technology work for other innovative companies. So we provide the building blocks. If you've ever taken a taxi from the most famous taxi company in the world, they've probably called you, it's probably gone over our network. If you've ever had a text message from a bank, it's probably come over our network. If you've ever had a text message from a school, same, probably over our network. So we sit behind the scenes enabling the technology and the communications that make smart cities work better. So 1851 are part of a partnership with ourselves, Cowsweek Limited and 1851 to build what we call Connected Cows, which is a 5G project connecting telemetry on boats, data for students to interpret and understand how sailing works, but a permanent 5G, 4G installation which connects the Solent, which is essentially it's a permanent test bed which will sit here in Cowes that allows us to build year on year with more functionality and more innovation. One of the things we're piloting this year and that we hope to roll out next year in full is real-time 360 streaming from the boats. And this isn't to replace the experience of being on a boat. This is to augment it. So if you're a spectator and you've never been on a boat and you've never really sailed and you've not really understood the excitement of it because it's something that happens off in the distance, wouldn't it be wonderful if we found a way to bring that to people who've never sailed before? So I don't believe sailing is elitist. I think it should be accessible. I think that it has a grassroots part to its sport, as do most sports. So as an island nation, we should embrace that.
Adam Beaumont of AQL there, and absolutely sailing is not elitist. It is a democratic sport. It should be, and open to all, and we've seen more of those initiatives and been hearing about them here on Cows Live through the week. Simon Viger here at the Royal Yacht Squadron, out on the B&G commentary rib, Matt Sheehan, and where are you heading now, Matt?
Well, I was just heading away from some of those big breaking waves, to be honest, because I now know what they look like, so that's tick for the day on those. But I was just coming in to just have another little look upwind, but the breeze is really increasing. I'm now seeing 28, 29 knots on the B&G instruments and the plot, and I can see the little graph showing that it's just going up. So it is playing out exactly to the forecast.
If you're just joining us, you've probably guessed actually that there is no racing taking place. The winds are too strong and all classes abandoned, the racing abandoned, and N over A flying from the flag staff here at the Royal Yacht Squadron. So we won't have race start commentary for you or race results, but we will have the overall winners later on. The overall prize giving will be at 2 o'clock at the event centre at the Yacht Haven. And we will bring you those winners and interviews through the day here on Cows Live. And then tomorrow, join us when we will normally have racing on the final Saturday of Cows Week, but not this year. We will have the briefing for the Rolex Fastnet race. That's at 3 o'clock, so you can hear that here on Cows Live. 87.9 FM. It's Cowstown Regatta today. That's why all the code flags are up and blowing in the breeze. But unfortunately, no racing for Cowstown Regatta today. I'm joined by Ian Lallow, who is a good, long-standing friend of Cows Live. I'll give you that. Ian, how are you?
Very well, thanks. Yeah, still alive and kicking.
Good. Well, that is the main thing, alive and kicking. It's a shame that there's no racing today, but it's just too strong out there.
It is a great shame. Finally they got round this year to doing what I've been trying to encourage them to do for many, many years, and get people going to the west along the green, so that spectators can see it. Mm. And I came in Saturday morning and sat in my car along by Egypt Point. There wasn't a parking space to be had between Egypt Point and Gurnard, and hundreds of people sat there with their radios on listening to you, and it was a beautiful. Okay, the numbers were down, but there was something for them to see. And it's just what Cows Week is all about.
Well, I was very happy when I found out that there were going to be more starts and finishes here on the squadron line, and I knew who was behind it as well, because we've been speaking about it for so many years.
That's right.
But I was very happy for you that it had finally happened as well, and more white group here as well.
Absolutely wonderful, yeah. And the more we get, the better it be. And with the lack of numbers, well, I say lack of numbers, smaller numbers this year, it's been easier to manage.
So racing abandoned today, but we have traditions here, of course, and one of the long-standing traditions is the tune, the sing-along to A Life on the Ocean Wave, and I'm very glad that Ian has joined us on the last day of the regatta, Cowstown Regatta Day, for A Life on the Ocean Wave, led, of course, by Arthur Fox.
A life on the ocean wave, a home on the rolling deep, where the scattered waters rave, and the winds their levels keep. Like an eagle caged I pine, on this dull unchanging shore. Oh, give me the flashing brine, the spray and the tempest roar.
A life on the ocean wave, a home on the rolling deep, where the scattered waters rave, and the winds their revels keep.
The winds, the winds, the winds their revels keep.
The winds, the winds, the winds their revels keep.
Once more on the deck I stand of my own swift gliding craft, set sail and farewell to the land. The gale follows fair abaft. We shoot through the sparkling foam like an ocean bird set free. Like the ocean bird our home we'll find far out on the sea.
A life on the ocean wave, a home on the rolling deep, where the scattered waters rave, and the winds their revels keep.
The winds, the winds, the winds their revels keep.
The winds, the winds, the winds their revels keep.
The land is no longer in view, the clouds have begun to frown, but with a stout vessel and crew we'll say let the storm come down, and the song of our heart shall be, while the winds and the waters rave, a life on the heaving sea, a home on the bounding wave.
A life on the ocean wave, a home on the rolling deep, where the scattered waters rave, and the winds their revels keep.
The winds, the winds, the winds their revels keep.
The winds, the winds, the winds their revels keep.
That's a marvellous tune.
Oh, great to hear Uffa every day here on Cows Live. We had various Uffa Fox stories this year on Cows Live, but focusing on the dragon racing with the Duke of Edinburgh, there are lots of old photos of them out there in the dragon, and so brilliant to see that particular dragon back here.
That's right.
At Cows Week and winning.
That's right. I mean, she was given to the royal family by the Island Sailing Club, I believe, many, many years ago.
Yeah.
I used to race regularly against my father, who also had a dragon, and I remember quite well when my first actual race was in Lowestoft in the dragon with a member of the Royal Yacht Squadron, and Blue Bottle was racing there, and that's the last time I actually remember racing against her. But she's had a lot of work done on her this year, and she's off up to the Edinburgh Cup again in September. I don't know how she's done this week, but I imagine reasonably
Very well. Oh, lots of wins, yeah. Lots of wins.
Yeah, well, she's been so well, and she's now been updated, so good to see her.
Just a final word on Uffa, because you knew him, and lots of people here in Cows knew him. I didn't know him, but he's a sort of legendary figure. What was he like?
I suppose the right word is a likeable rogue. Interesting character, always had a laugh and a joke on his smile on his face. One particular story, because he used to have a business right next to ours, somebody stopped him outside of his business in Birmingham Road and said, "Is this the way to the Chain Ferry?" And Uffa pointed to the gents' toilets across the road outside of the Duke of York and those. He said, "Go down those stairs," he said, "and there's a tunnel under the river." In fact, it was on your gents' toilets.
Well, he's obviously a great part of Cal's life, and we heard actually from the Royal London Yacht Club Commodore earlier in the week that they're going to have an Upper Fox Festival regatta here next year.
Yeah, there's a big regatta on, and let's hope we get lots of, I'm going to say foreign, but flying 15s from other parts. They've had a resurgence this year. There's a lot at the Cows Creekton now, stored and kept raced there regularly. Nice to see it.
Great stuff. And great to see you as well, Ian.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thanks very much for coming along for the sing-song.
Hope to see you next year.
We'll be back. You'll be back. And, of course, Life on the Ocean Wave will be back as well. Thanks very much indeed.
Cheers.
But, yes, that's our final sing-song of the year with Life on the Ocean Wave with Upper Fox and everybody. I hope you were joining in, Matt, out there on the boat.
I certainly was, and you may say it's the final sing-song, but that is now going to be stuck in my head for many weeks now. It is a marvellous tune.
It is. I'll get you the whole album. I think it is downloadable somewhere. There's a lot more where that came from.
It's funny enough, it reminds me because it was also the signature tune, for those of a certain age will remember this, it was the signature tune for the London Boat Show when it was in Earl's Court, and it always reminds me of marching in the morning with that playing, and it is a very uplifting song. It's superb.
So no racing today. Racing abandoned, N over A, sadly. The conditions are just too strong, but two things to look forward to. This afternoon at 2 o'clock, it's the overall Cows Week prize giving at the Cows Yacht Haven Event Centre. Everybody invited along there, particularly if you are an overall winner in your class, to pick up your trophy. And there are fantastic other trophies like the Young Skippers, the Young Crew trophies from Musto as well. And then tomorrow here on Cows Live, we will have coverage at 3 o'clock of the briefing for the Rolex Fastnet race, which gets underway from this famous start line on Sunday morning. 87.9 FM Cows Live, and we will... good grief, there's a seal here, Matt. A seal just swimming past the squadron.
You sure?
Absolutely, come and have a look. There's just... By the rocks here, by the guns, he's just popped up to say hello, and he's swimming in an easterly direction towards our fantastic drone pilot, who's on the Haven wall and mostly swimming underwater, but...
That tends to be what they do.
He is popping up to say hello every now. I've never seen that before.
You sure it's not the mermaid that's just been blown off the end of the squadron?
It is not a mermaid. It is not a mermaid. I've lost where he or she is. I can only see one, but I've never seen that before in all of these years up here at the squadron. Just sailing over towards the... swimming over towards the drone pilot, but it's now gone underwater. But yeah, as I was talking there, just this head popped up. I was like, wow, I've never seen you before.
I remember seeing back in the day when I was a nipper and first started racing in the Solent. I remember seeing a shark in Osborne Bay, which I couldn't believe what I was looking at. And Osborne Bay is pretty well known for being a very popular spot to go and anchor and have lunch and go swimming. And this shark just appeared. I couldn't believe it. And I got back and told some of my friends, locals, and they went, "Oh yeah, that's just a basking shark. We got plenty of those." And I was amazed. I didn't think you'd get those in the Solent. I've not seen any since, but...
Wow. Well, our seal seems to have